Season 6. There are already 5 seasons complete, 12 episodes each at any podcast platform.
We have already hosted quite a number of guests in our podcast who shared their curiosity, their experience, their approaches to learning, teaching, living in new environments, and also building up skill sets.
It's all around living and learning together and getting inspired.
Whenever you think it is appropriate for you to see the depths of growth mindset, the depths of live and learn philosophy, just join and enjoy. So welcome to our season 6, Live and Learn with us.
Live and learn.
World, welcome our guest today. So this is Lana, and she comes from Ukraine, and she's a lifelong learner. We need to talk more about it because for me, this is a person who I actually really wanted to welcome in our podcast, because for me, you're a person who I look up to the way you learn and the way you enjoy living with this learning. I know you as a person who represents the world of beer to me, but also of learning how to make the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes about the domain of beer making, beer tasting, beer popularizing, and making everybody know what it is. So this is the author of a book, a translator of the books about beer into Ukrainian, the judge of the international contests, and a fantastic learner and achiever. So, Lana, could you please tell us which of this do you associate yourself with? Which is a part of your identity? And what is a part of your identity that I haven't mentioned?
Just in short, I am a beer lover. All things you mentioned, they're coming together in this one word. So that would be the best thing to describe me as this. But actually, talking about learning, a lot of people actually think my learning is incredibly enjoyable. And I can prove that because everything which involves beer involves tasting it. So I'm pretty much enjoying this curve of learning. So yeah, I'm pretty happy to do that.
For you to know, I don't drink alcohol at all in any form of it. And that's why I'm particularly curious about what it could be to learn about beer as something of your excitement as I got it. For someone or to someone who isn't much into it or doesn't know the basics.
Probably the very beginning is not in actually beer, but my love for taste. I also really enjoy nice food. I really like coffee. I also started to be interested in coffee after I developed a bit more sensitive palate, I would say. So I just like tasty things. So you can perfectly relate. Like, I don't know if you drink coffee or...
I do, and I'm a real coffee lover. So yeah, that's a pretty nice association.
So sometimes it's like, it just pure curiosity to get to know like how your favorite drink is made, what influences the beer, the taste, how does it come into making, what's the reason for it tasting like that or like that. So it's pretty relatable to anything, to coffee, to wine, to desserts, to whatever.
To tea.
So yeah, to tea, for sure.
And you started already with 2 major points that we are discussing all the time. Every episode, we keep on talking about if you want to learn something successfully and efficiently, you need to start from the love for it and from the curiosity of how it's made. Did you have your life before beer? How did it come into existence that it became a part of your passion and a part of your curiosity that you decided to dive into this domain of knowledge?
So basically, like, of course, like most of people, who actually drink beer. Well, I wasn't a big beer drinker at all. So because mostly it was industrial lagers, which I probably experienced till quite late in age, I would say. So I wasn't interested in beer per se as a tasty drink, but on my honeymoon in Prague, I got to drink this dark Czech lager, which was called Master. And it was like, beer can be like that, because it was darkish, more coffee-like, more chocolate-like, and I really like chocolate. So I think that was the thing which got me, and I said, I need to know more. That started that way, and it still continues, and I really want to know more and more and more, because it's never-ending flow of knowledge, and nowadays it's like a lot of innovation, a lot of interesting things developing, a lot of science going on. So I guess I have pretty much material till the end of my life to learn about beer.
It is really interesting how what is a curious thing for us, maybe a hobby, maybe some interest, maybe something that we want to learn about, enters into a realm of I really want to spend more of my free time for it. What were you doing before beer? How did you understand that this is something that is worth investing your time and effort?
I think the main driver for me was it was tasty. So actually, the first part of my discoveries were just about taste. So I was curious, how this beer can taste, how probably this one would taste. And then it started building up on me, and I was like super interested, like what influences this stuff. Every beer is made basically of only 4 ingredients: water, hops, malts, and yeast. And that's it. But beer is so various, so many styles, so many kinds of it, so many colors, so many aromas. And how do they do it with only 4? All the music is composed from the 7 notes, but here's is only 4. It should be way more difficult. And also music really fascinates me, like how it gets composed in the human head. So I started reading all I could find on internet. I started buying books on beer. In the end, I ended up working for a brewery, so it also became my profession. And I was really curious about pushing it for myself to get to know more. But also, one step of my educational ladder, I would say, was I'm not sure if it's nice to say or not, but it was anger. Then you have to prove yourself because people don't believe you. That's because I am a female in beer, and people really consider beer to be a man's drink. It was really a source of few frustrating moments in my life and in my career as well. Then people were not believing in my competence. So I'd say, okay, if you need some proof of my competence, I can do that. And that's how my climbing to all my credentials started.
Could you tell more? What are your credentials that you decided to take in order to persuade others that you're really competent?
So basically, there is, I think in every field, there is some certifications or diplomas or study programs which prove you being competent enough. In beer world, there's not that many of them. There is one big, I would say, certification program in US. US is a country where all this new wave of beer has started. So they've been spending quite a lot of time on developing this kind of program. And it's called BJCP, Beer Judge Certification Program. It involves a few steps, like online exam, in-person exam, and then you get your experience points. It's not for brewers. It doesn't teach you to brew. It's a self-taught program. So you have to find everything by yourself and educate yourself, and you just go and take exam. And another one is more friendly oriented. This is the Cicerone program, which also has a few levels, really similar to wine sommelier program. There's like 4 of them. Only online level, which is first level beer server, then Certified Cicerone, Advanced Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. So basically, all over the world, in almost 20 years of this certification, there's only 19 people who are masters. Basically, there is about, I think, 2,000 advanced, about, I don't remember how many certified, but like it's easier because the curriculum is not that complicated, but the higher it gets, the more difficult it gets. It's like, that's why there's only 19 of people, because I think it takes 2 days of examination just to take it. And it's done like once in a year. So I'm not sure I'm going to pursue that way. At least I've got to be the first certified Cicerone in Ukraine.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
You inspire so much with your achievements, with your certifications and credentials. I think the blog you lead and the media that you have are super inspirational. Going into such a very demanding certification needs a lot of time. How did you decide to separate this time from your living, from your life, from your work, from your personal activities, and to actually understand that this is something worth investing into? Can you expand on that maybe?
Honestly speaking, I have no idea if it will help me in a professional career, because in Ukraine, these certifications are not that well known. So like I can say, yes, I am a certified judge, or I am this, I am that. So sometimes people tend to just believe people when they say that they're experts, but they cannot have the slightest idea what does that mean or involve. I think for me was, again, I've got 2 of these certifications because I was so angry. Now I came to terms with that, and like I'm just learning about beer almost every day because there's so many news and so many things happening around the world, because I really like it. So that wasn't that difficult to find some time to educate myself and to prepare to all this tests. For once, it was my job now. And like I always take my job seriously. So if I want to perform the best, I have to know all the newest stuff, and not only the newest and the oldest as well, because it's always connected, the history, the future, the modern state of things. So it's always intertwined and interconnected, and you have to pay attention to everything, not to get lost in all of this. And for second, I'm just enjoying it. And it's, again, this kind of studying with a glass of beer in your hand is way more enjoyable than other stuff people normally do. The third thing which got me really interested is this thing, and learning involves meeting a lot of super interesting people. And then you go somewhere and meet all these people and explore their way of thinking, their way of talking. You learn on the go every time you meet them. So that's also a pretty nice way to learn and to get new knowledge. For example, then you judge beer, and all the judging is done blind. So you have no idea what beer is it, only you know they like the kind of it. So you try to relate the knowledge you have about this style. Is it the same you would expect from this beer? And you try to describe the aromas, the flavors, and people also describe them. And sometimes you think like, oh my God, yes, that's the word I wanted to use, because sometimes aromas are really eluding and you can't find a word to describe it. And then somebody just said it and you, yes, that's it. Because aromas are really connected to our memory as well. Then I say, for example, about the beer, it smells like a jar of raspberry jam my grandma made every summer. And some people, yes, that's right. And like, it's really like a jar of jam. I thought it was like more like a, maybe fresh raspberry, but no, it's just like a jam. Or I say like, this smells and tastes like pickled apples. I have no idea if your audience know what pickled apples are, but I'm pretty sure that you know about that. So like, this is really interesting to get to know how people describe their impressions of aromas. And it's so exciting all the time.
That's really interesting. Lana, do you judge in different languages in different countries? Have you got the experience of using different names, different language, words in different languages to describe the taste of beer?
Well, mostly all the judging is done in English to enable communication between people from different countries. Different language, I mean only the words derived from your own associations and memory. That's what I'm talking about, the different language.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's also clear because people have different ideas of what is associated with this taste for them personally. I was also curious about using different languages like English and maybe Ukrainian or maybe any other language in which it's not so easy probably to find the right word that describes exactly what you feel about that taste.
Yeah, now I got you. But no, mostly it's English because it would be absolutely impossible to like use the word from your own language to gauge the scoring of the beer, because usually then you give the commands on beer and you describe it, the scoring sheet will go to the brewer. So he has or she has to understand everything you thought about the beer. So that's why it should be done mostly in English.
And then a follow-up question would be, when you taste beer not as a judge, but just in a company of friends or alone, do you use any kind of language in any language that helps you describe? Do you describe in any way?
I try really hard not to because sometimes
I kind of expected this.
Sometimes it really takes off the enjoyment and you start to disassemble it into parts. You have to enjoy it in full. So I try to like click and find the button which like turns off all this special lingo, but sometimes I just can't help and like rate, oh my god, this smells like this one, this and this. But that's mostly then I'm really enjoying the beer, so I just can't help myself not talking about it.
Do you think our brains work differently if we train the palate, if we train the memory, not only by the concept of each fruit or each type of a herb or whatever the smell or taste is? Do you think that the sommeliers, wine, beer, tea, whatever, have a more advanced connections between their neurons because they need to associate, well, not only an apple as an apple, but you have multiple different apples that you need to associate, like sour, green, yellow, ripe, and so on, so on. So do you think it is like more advanced neural system in your head?
I think yes, because then you start to like work with something. You start with some bigger parts of the thing, and then you disassemble it into smaller parts, and you also train your brain to remember. Because sometimes you smell something and you just can't put it like, what is that? But then you smell it once, twice, and think really hard. It helps you to remember better, to classify the aromas, the names. So basically, it's just like training your brain to remember. It's really good for people in general. I guess it promotes better memory, but I'm pretty sure the doctors won't be too happy about you drinking and training your memory. So
in this way.
In this way, yes, for sure. But of course, we're not talking about drinking all day long and like in huge quantities.
But there is this, half a joke, half a scientific fact that we normally call learning languages as a Alzheimer's prophylaxis.
Yeah,
Can you say that you are learning another
language.
Language, yeah.
Yes, actually, you get in yourself a whole new vocabulary for describing things. Sometimes people really develop completely new lingo for beer. So it's also like, like gymnastics for your brain. You have to do something you haven't done before, but then you practice it and it becomes more flexible. So I'm pretty sure this like really helps a lot. But also, for example, my beer adventure has completely spoiled my palate for coffee, because before I could drink supermarket bought pack of coffee pre-grind and it was okay, but I couldn't know. So I started to notice different flavors and aromas in coffee way more than before, but it's also expensive. So now I have to spend a lot of money for nice beers and nice coffees as well.
That's how my story of tasting coffee started when I first came to Italy and I couldn't drink that strong espresso coffee. I couldn't feel the taste. I didn't like it. And then when I finally liked coffee in one of the bars, and I said to my friend, "Oh, now finally I found that. Now it's good." And he said, "Oh yeah, of course it's shitty coffee." So which meant I didn't really develop taste for coffee yet at that time, which I did later. But I believe this is something that also needs practice, learning, experience, trying again and again until you finally find your way on this journey of tasting things and giving right names to them, so that your brain also understands, yes, this is this thing and this is not.
Developing this descriptive possibility also helps you to get what you want, because sometimes then you can't express what you want, you can't find the proper product as well.
And I'm pretty sure that this is the same with wine and tea and anything that is so nuanced, but also something that is alive. This is another thing that is beautiful about tea, wine, and beer, that you need to understand as well which level you are, how many levels are there, which level you are, and does it help to you to move forward knowing that there are other people with more knowledge, more skills, and more experience maybe. Is this a kind of drive to go further on?
Well, actually, I don't think so. I'm equally not intimidated, but by people knowing more, just as well as the fact that there is more levels. So I'm pretty comfortable on that level where I am now.
You are the beer runner, is it so?
Oh yeah.
You have this travel routes to run around and to
finish
visit
at the brewery.
Tell us how this is happening.
My job at the brewery started because of this idea of beer running. I've read about that on the internet and I was fascinated, because like I'm not like a marathon runner or professional runner. I just jog for enjoyment. Because I love jogging and beer, I thought, like, why shouldn't we combine those? I approached the brewery, which is located not far from the lake. So basically, if you start from the brewery and you run about the lake and you come back, it will be approximately 5 kilometers, so perfect distance. And I was like, let's make a beer running club. And say, okay, why not? Let's try it. So the idea is people gather, run one circle. Somebody can run two because they enjoy running a bit longer. I've been running almost the last one to pick up all, like, so people won't be stressed because they're last. And on the finish, we've got a like liquid medal, the glass of beer from the brewery. After 2 or 3 months of these meetings, we've been meeting like once in 2 weeks on Sunday. The owner of the brewery approached me and said, like, come on, join the team. So that's how it happened.
Seriously?
Yeah.
And what do you do as part of a team?
So basically, I'm a talking head of the brewery. I talk about beer, I write about beer, all this social media stuff, festivals, communication, customer feedback for sure. Everything which involves like communicating, that's my job.
But how are you so good at communicating? You are communicating with customers, you communicating the brand, you communicating the beer, the types, the differences. Where does the talent for communication come from?
Well, actually, I'm just being really, really lucky. Then you start to work for a company and you are entitled to be face or a voice of this company. You have to look for a place with values which coincide with yours. So basically, I didn't have to invent anything. I've been just talking as I am talking myself. So that's the most enjoyable part, I think, of this. When I talk to people, I mostly talk to them in a way I'd want them talk to me. And that's why I think it works. Nowadays, even your personal communication is a part of branding. I don't know why people don't understand that. There is a big number of some examples then bad personal communication was damaging to the company. You just have to have a common sense of like what to tell to people and what to not. Treat them like you want them to treat yourself, though. That's the golden middle, I think, of everything.
That's what you're talking about, values. That's something that either you're having them, you're aware of them, you know them, you manifest them, you make them to be a priority, you make them to be maybe quite a complicated stuff for everybody, but very clear goal to yourself. If you see the clear goal of what you have just mentioned, then you know where to go and you're trying to find your way, your path, your learning journey.
As well, what you're saying is impressive in so many ways. One thing that you made me think about was to find the right job position that lots of people are asking constantly about, like how should I be going? Which steps should I be taking to reach that goal of finding the right job for me? Your example, I think, could be used as perfect, brilliant storytelling one, just to show people, do what you love doing. Just find your personal interest on a Sunday every 2 weeks, for example. Yeah, just do what you love doing. Just involve people who you love doing the same things together with. And then it's not the rule that the right job is waiting for you at the end of your 5-kilometer run, not necessarily, but definitely when you do what you love doing, when you do what you do with passion, when you put yourself, your energy, your interest into it, the right things will come. And it's not magic, it's not a mystery, it's just the thing, it works, as boring as it may sound. When I say that, it sounds boring because I don't have probably that fascinating story that, well, it's a pill of wisdom in it. Yeah, like do your run, enjoy on the way, and your prize is waiting for you in the end of that path. Amazing. I just love it. Another thing, you use so many emotions when you talk about what you do, what you love doing, what you do professionally. And I heard anger, I heard enjoyment, I heard curiosity, I heard communication with the people who sometimes weird you out, sometimes you have to deal with your emotions and handle them. It's life, as I understand it, packed with all those emotions that are real, that are sincere, that are always there, and not saying no to any of the emotions, be they positive or negative, makes it unite and makes it a complete image of someone who really loves what they do.
All this emotional outburst is it's connected only to really important things. Sometimes then I come like I'm just reading or I'm drinking coffee or whatever, and people see me like, what's wrong with you? You're so sad. Like, no, I'm just normal.
It's just normal to live your emotions, yeah?
Or just like being calm. Like, but people always see me like a volcano. That's why they're quite often really loud. Then I'm just like doing nothing. I'm okay. Like it's okay to be okay and not doing anything, and like
Yeah.
not to explode with any emotion or like even a pack of them. I think that's the balance, because then you're exploding with emotion all the time. They will end up eventually. So like you have to have your calm time and recharge as well.
That's something that we talk a lot about in our podcast about life, live, learn, work, sleep balance. When you're trying not to overwhelm yourself with any of those things and trying to have a balanced life made of everything together. We preach the same thing about language or communication or work, professional thing that Ina has just formulated. Just love doing what you do sincerely to your best capacity, keep on excelling, keep on being curious and engaging what's around the corner. And you are just the example to me, and I'm sure that something that I wanted to share with other people, that makes this not only about languages, that because we talk about it, because this is our profession with Ina, but also about beer, but also about wine, but also about running, but also about so many things that you can excel if you have your true passion, interest, curiosity, and invest in time and effort into it.
Actually, it's also a language of enjoying your life, no matter what you do.
This is beautiful.
You can't enjoy something only being by yourself, maybe besides some calm quality time that needs you to be alone. But then you're talking about your passion, things you enjoy, events you enjoy, everything you enjoy. It's multiplies, then you share it. Every bottle of beer I drink, I share with my husband. So well, actually it helps talking about it, and again then I can taste more, so more different stuff. Talking about learning, yeah, I'm super happy about the rising of interest for beer in Ukraine. A lot of people are curious. They start traveling, exploring new places, new flavors. They come back, they look for those in Ukraine. They want to know. I feel related to them. I feel like I felt myself when I started. So I really want to make their adventure more enjoyable and fuller, I don't know, to give them more tools to explore this fantastic world. So I really like to share my knowledge, and that's why I translate those books and I write about beer. And I'm really happy that there are more and more people also talking about beer. So like I'm not alone. And again, it's also sharing in a way.
This is so inspirational. Such a beautiful role model that you are, and such a beautiful, leading by example, whatever anybody may understand by leading. We share this concept with Ina, and I feel that I will share it with you as well, that you do whatever you do very genuinely, very emotionally, intentionally, and intensively. And then you become an example, then you become a leader. So my biggest appreciation and thanks for everything that you do. We have a very special question from Ina that we ask every and each our featuring guest.
What haven't we asked you that you would like to share with our audience so that more people could hear what you have to share and what you think would be or could be valuable?
That's a tricky question. You should have told me this before so I could list questions like possibly what I want to share. But actually, I really enjoy this podcast. You ask a lot of things and you lead me into pretty wide direction of discussion, not only about beer, but memory, language, everything, sharing. Like, so I don't know. Do what you love what you do. And that's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
This is a beautiful story, the beautiful example of living and learning.
We sometimes feel that we keep on saying the same things again and again. And so, well, guys, this is how we live and learn. live and learn, join us, enjoy, blah, blah, blah. And at some point, I feel, I don't know, Yulia, about you, I sometimes feel I'm repeating myself so often that it feels like it needs another person to prove living and learning with pleasure and passion is possible for someone else too. Because maybe someone who's listening to us and is already used to our way of putting things is, I wouldn't say bored, but is already really used to us as figures who say this again and again. And maybe it might sound as preaching or something else. I don't know. I sometimes have these strange feelings. And when there is another person, such a passionate, professional, amateur, whatever you might call yourself as you, and gives this as an example to other people. Look, guys, I also live and learn. Look, it's possible to have the full enjoyment of this process, to experience different feelings, emotions around it, and to lead your full life being your authentic self.
We're just applauding to finding the right people who share the same values with us. We're applauding the possibility to communicate, to connect, to evolve, explore, and share with other people. Thank you very much for being with us today. We have one more thing that we do in the end. We normally have the same phrase that we share with our people, with our listeners, with people who we care about. So, live and learn.
Live and learn.
Live and learn.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you share Live and Learn philosophy, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on all the major social media, comment, and spread the word about this podcast so that more people could get their weekly portion of growth mindset content. Live and learn.